Welcome to Born to Ramble. My name is Nikki, and I was born to ramble. Today I have some exciting announcements for you, as per usual, and I even have a new segment called Adorable Things That My Son Says. So what did he say yesterday? He said, "Why does your lip gloss smell disgusting for a long time?" My podcast is about telling stories, and I wanted to talk to you about writing stories, storytelling, like verbal storytelling, the craft of writing, and I also wanted to read to you some of my favorite writers. But after I recorded an entire episode last week of me reading a short story by my favorite author, Augusten Burroughs, I was alerted that I'm not allowed to read other people's work. And I get it, like I'm basically giving away an audio recording for free. But I just thought it would be nice to share literature that I love. So anyway, live and learn. I always try to live by the motto, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, because a lot of times permission takes a lot of time. You have to jump through hoops and wait for people to read emails and give their approval. And it's a lot better to just forge ahead. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to waste too much time. I had to do away with that entire episode because I don't want to get in trouble. I would probably take my chances with some lesser known authors, or if the story was older, like perhaps it would be in the public domain, or I would just pretend I thought it was. But because I love and respect Augusten Burroughs so much, I really don't want to do anything that would be offensive or controversial. So I did away with that episode. However, I did clip it into shorts. So you'll find the shorts from the story that I read. So the story that I read was called Little Crucifixions. And the reason I love it so much is because when I was younger, I used to always pull on my cuticles, and I would always have bleeding cuticles because I just could not stop picking at my fingers. And this story, Little Crucifixions, found in this book, Possible Side Effects, by, as I said, my favorite author, Augusten Burroughs, is about bloody fingers. So he always is picking at his fingers and having little blood all the time. And he just talks about how ironic and hilarious it is because his fingers are his worst quality. And it's also the most important thing for his work as a writer and meeting people, meeting his readers, signing autographs, etc. So I love that story. Check out my shorts if you want to hear some clips or some excerpts from that story, but not the whole story because I don't want to break the law when it comes to Augusten. Next, let's move into the job report. So as per usual, the job report is pretty depressing this week. I've got a handful of rejections because it is Monday morning. I pre-record these, FYI, in case you care. So I got a bunch of rejections. I was a little bit disheartened today because I did get an automated rejection from a company that I interviewed with 4 of the people, like face-to-face, not actual face-to-face, over Zoom. But I met them, and so I was like a little bit saddened to see that their rejection came in the form of an automated email. But it also kind of just like confirmed to me that that's like a $50,000 job move, and I'm not looking for a $50,000 job. At the end of the interview, they did ask me, "Do you have any questions for us?" And I really wanted to ask, "Do you think a man would accept $55,000? But I didn't, because here's the key to getting a job. This is what I've learned over many years of having jobs, is that you can't say your real thoughts. You should never say your real thoughts. But you know where you can say your real thoughts? In your stories, which is why I love stories. I just think it's so important to tell people who you are and live your fullest life. Because when you start to stifle your real self, you get pinched and pinched and pinched and pinched until finally you're not going to be able to handle it anymore. So anyway, I was rejected for a job that probably wouldn't have been a good fit anyway. And I did make some notes yesterday because I was just thinking, I'm just really flabbergasted by the amount of jobs that are paying under $60,000. Here's the short and long of it. If you don't have money for a tip, you don't have enough money to go out to eat. If you don't have enough money to pay an adult who would like to live in a physical dwelling, you don't have enough money to post job listings on LinkedIn. So stop it. Do you want disgruntled employees? Have you ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Financial stability is near the bottom of the pyramid. The most basic need to get out of survival mode is financial stability. Do you think that I'm going to deliver an exceptional customer experience if I'm living in fight or flight with no financial stability? I'm not even going to answer the question. I'm just going to let it simmer with you. I'm moving right into the perfect story today. A story that I wrote. It's an excerpt from my upcoming book, and this story is called My Robot Vacuum Drove Through a Pile of Shit and I Basically Had to Bury Her Alive. This is not a full story, it's just a scene. If you want to learn more about the difference between scene and setting, subscribe to my channel. Videos coming soon on craft of writing. The entire month of October, we're going to have craft of writing videos. So I'm very excited about that because I'll actually get to teach you something instead of just telling you stories. But I love telling you stories. Anyway, I digress. Let's move right into this story. Each morning, I got up, made a pregnancy shake, and started my robo vacuum before heading to my home office for work. Work was increasingly easy as I prepared to hand everything off to Dawn while I was out for maternity leave. I tried not to think too much about what would happen after the baby was born. I knew that eventually I'd need to talk to Derek about our arrangement, where the baby would live, how co-parenting would look between us. My friend Amy said that when she decided to split with her son's father, she just filled out some papers from the city website that outlined a custody agreement. No lawyers needed. She said you just fill out the papers and then take them to the court to make it official. Court. It made me sad to think of my poor baby already having to deal with court. He wasn't even outside my body yet, and already he could have been on Maury Povich and Judge Judy. I knew I couldn't ignore it forever. Derek and I weren't planning to raise the baby together, and I needed to have a plan. I went to the City of Mesa website and found the documents Amy had mentioned. A parenting plan. I scrolled through the PDF, but there were so many pages. I did not want to think about this. The baby was inside of me, safe inside of me, and I could protect us. But as soon as he came out, I had no idea what would happen. I might just float away and disappear without him inside of me, my anchor. It was a Monday, and I was supposed to be working. I returned to my work email and tried to put the parenting plan out of my mind. Emails were from clients, my boss, account managers, the CEO. I just wasn't in the mood. Maybe a walk around the block would help. I slipped my feet into a pair of flip-flops and headed toward the door. But I stopped dead in my tracks in the living room. Shit was everywhere. My RoboVac had been spinning shit circles. Caught in shit. She'd pivot, collect more shit, and turn again until an 8-foot circle of shit had smeared itself onto my tile floor. Pete! He'd been shitting outside his litter box since I moved it out of the spare room that was slowly turning into the nursery. For a while, I just stood there, frozen, not sure what to do. Then, knowing I had to stop it, I picked up the RoboVac. The wheels stopped spinning and it beeped, aware its work had been interrupted. The bottom brush and wheels were covered in shit. There was no way to clean it enough to ever use it again, so I threw it in the trash and grabbed paper towels to start cleaning the shit circle. My chest tightened with the feeling that I needed to cry, but I wasn't quite there yet. I couldn't force it. Anywhere but here, I thought. I need to be anywhere but here. My throat was closing. Everything was closing in on me. Terrible thoughts came at me in rapid succession. Shit, shit, shit. Parenting plan, emails, no one to help me. No one ever helps me. I might not be able to do this. This might be the thing that is too much for me. I felt myself shutting down, but I couldn't. I had to clean up the shit. The pleasant female voice of the RoboVac from the trash called out to me, "Please return to charging station. Please return to charging station." Even she wanted something from me. And I sympathized. She was covered in shit, in the trash, And just an hour ago, she had served with great purpose. She wanted one thing: to return to charging station, her home, her station. She asked one thing of me, and I couldn't help her. An image of myself at 25 entered my mind. I'd been living in state housing apartments, and after early morning working in the hospital kitchen, followed by an evening at writing class at the university, I was so tired that I couldn't bring myself to drive home and climb the 55 stairs to my apartment. So instead, I stayed in the student union playing word games on the computer until midnight. Finally, when the computer lab was empty, save for me, a few nerds, and the student supervisor, I made myself go home, dragged myself up all 55 stairs, and walked into my 300 square foot apartment where my only window looked out onto a brick wall across the alley. I turned on the oven, set it to 400 degrees, and opened the door. No, I didn't put my head inside. This isn't a Sylvia Plath story. I lay on the kitchen floor and put my icy cold feet on the oven door to warm up. The floor, the uneven linoleum, didn't make for a great resting place, but neither did any of my furniture. A love seat from my grandma's house that was decorative only, and a footstool I used as a dining room table and a computer desk. My spine pressed into the hard floor as I realized I was hungry, but there was no food and there was no money, and I definitely wasn't going anywhere because then I'd have to climb those stairs again. DoorDash didn't exist yet, and even if it did, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. One hot tear fell down the side of my face, opening the floodgates for all other tears to follow. I cried as hard as I could until I could articulate my sadness, and then I screamed out to no one, and also my entire apartment building, because I'm sure everyone could hear me. I just want someone to buy some bananas! My parents spent my entire life telling me they knew I could do things by myself, as if they were trying to instill self-sufficiency and confidence by not helping me. But wouldn't it be nice to have a fucking meal or $50 gifted to me every now and then, instead of having to kick my own ass through every fucking day? My classmates who had wardrobes purchased by their parents, cars paid for and insured by their parents' policies, tuition paid for, and a warm house to go to on the weekends. Fuck! I was so sick and fucking tired of doing everything by myself. Okay, so I was still resentful about that, which created a real shit sandwich for me at the present moment, when my goal was simply to function as a human greenhouse, brimming with sunshine, nutrients, and calm energy, to be a stable woman who wasn't fazed by the shit from her own childhood, while also cleaning my furry child's literal shit that had been smeared into the floor by my robo-butler. No one was listening. I had lost all control. The floodgates opened. Crying so hard I couldn't even see. I also couldn't breathe very well because the smell was atrocious. It was a trap. I couldn't not clean up the shit. Who else would take care of this nightmare? I filled the trash can with shit-covered paper towels and then Clorox wipes. Please return to charging station, my dear robot friend called. She sounded more persistent, scared even. You have to stay there, I told her. I'm sorry. Pete came from the back bedroom, the baby's bedroom, and squinted at me. Why are you doing this to me? He came to rub his face on my leg, and as I reached to pet him, crying but surrendering, I knew he wasn't trying to ruin my life. He just wanted his room back. He stretched his face close to mine and purred. Pete needed me. The robot needed me. I was supposed to be working. I should not be losing my shit, nor stressing the baby. This was all too much. The trash was full, so I tied the bag and brought it outside to the big garbage bin on the side of my house. I opened all the windows to air out the kitchen and living room. It smelled like bleach, but the smell of cat shit lingered along with the smell of chlorine. Through the kitchen window, I heard, "Please return to charging station," and started crying all over again. I couldn't take it. I went back outside to retrieve the trash bag and then put it in my car. I drove to a Circle K down the road, crying the whole way there as she called to me from the back, "Please return to charging station." The dumpster behind Circle K was not visible from the road, thankfully, so no one would see me as I grabbed the trash from the back of my car and heaved it on top of the other trash. I felt like a girl leaving the prom to put her baby in a dumpster. I think that's the perfect story for today. But you know what? Honestly, I think all these jobs that I'm not getting is just probably for the best, because maybe they wouldn't be the best job for me. They probably wouldn't allow me the time I need to spend time with my son and do my creative pursuits. And I guess I'm going to ask you one more time before we close this podcast. Do you think a man would accept $55,000? Thank you so much for listening to my story today. I hope you'll come again next week. I don't know what I'm talking about next week, but I do know that the entire month of October is going to be Craft of Writing. So I hope you'll like and subscribe, because I don't want you to miss those episodes. They're going to be really good. If you're a writer, I hope you're writing. And if you're a storyteller, I hope you're telling stories. And if you just love stories, I hope you keep listening to Born to Ramble.